Um, so I'm going to put a bit of a front end on this. So welcome to this Lunch and Learn. My name is Doug Line. I've got both Jeff and Debashri with me here today in this first kind of Lunch and Learn where we're going to be discussing the upgrade to the new San Diego release. And I have put in the chat the link to the test instance, which is https://test dash support dot oh dash tech.org. And if you go there and want to join me, I am going to share my screen out. You should end up, is everyone seeing the screen at this point?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, good. So this is the test instance. This instance has already been upgraded to the San Diego patch 3 release. This is what we're going to be upgrading the production instance to. Just kind of to let everyone know, the data that's up here on our test instance right now is about a month old. So it isn't as up to date and as accurate as prod, but it's pretty close. It's not bad. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to log in here. And this could or could not be the same experience that you're going to have when you log in, because depending upon the last, well, depending upon what your role is and depending upon what the last dashboard was that you visited, this could be a very different page for you. Some things I kind of wanted to point out real quick, just to kind of ground folks, get them oriented. Actually, before I even go into that, I want to show you two things here. So I'm going to go up. You'll note they've moved the navigation up here. It used to be in a navigation panel that was always fixed in the left. You could shrink it if you want, but they have moved that basically up here. So here's your all, here's your favorites, here's your history. But before I get too much further into this, I wanted to go to our knowledge section just to let folks know. And again, based upon who you are and what role you have, you will see a variety of different knowledge bases that you might have access to. What I'm going to suggest is once you're on prod, these do not exist down here. I think we've got like yeah, this was kind of like our back end stuff that you won't have access to. But when you're on prod and you go to knowledge, if you just search on San Diego, that will return these two: San Diego release, updated user interface. This is a really good reference. We've noted this in both of the communications that we've sent out. The other one is one that we've just recently, quite honestly, thrown together. These are a list of 6 different videos that you can go back and watch at, whenever it's convenient. We've kind of let folks know, how long these things are, a little bit of a description of what's covered in it, and then the link to the YouTube video itself. So Those aren't here on test, so we won't look at those here. So let me go ahead and we'll go through some things that will hopefully make it a little bit easier, that the transition for folks. So if I go to all and I click on this pin right here, that will pin that navigation to the left if that's something that you like. And you may like it at first, but I've got to admit, as I've worked more in the new interface, it's growing on me using that entire screen real estate, and you can do either. When you're in here, you can still look and filter for things. And again, depending upon what your role is within ServiceNow, you'll have different applications available to you, or you won't. These still work the same. You can open and close applications by clicking, these little up and down triangles to the side. So these are applications. If I open this up, these are the modules that exist underneath those. And any one of these, you can go to, just like it was in the past. I'm going to click on homepage. And what this is taking me to is my last, in my case, I have been to a dashboard on test. So this is taking me to the last dashboard I had open. And I can tell that this particular location is a dashboard because of those 4 squares right there. It shows its dashboard overview. And if I click on that, that will take me to a list of dashboards, and ServiceNow groups these by, these are my most recent dashboards I've been to. If I click the next tab over, these are dashboards that I own. If I click the next dashboard over, these are dashboards that have been shared with me. And then again, depending upon what your role is within ServiceNow, when you click all dashboards, that will very much so depend on what dashboard you'll be able to see. Let me real quick. Does anyone have any questions up to this point?
I
Okay.
want to mention, Doug, that in the production instance, it seems as if my homepage has already been converted to a dashboard. Is that correct?
It could have been if you did that yourself, and you can check on that. So I'm going to pop over to production here real quick, and I'm going to go to dashboards. And if you follow along with me, Susan, while you're logged in, or I can, do you mind if I impersonate you?
No, go right ahead.
Okay.
I was wondering if I had already done it. I didn't remember, but it seems to me that my homepage is now a dashboard, and our team, wants to prepare,
Okay.
and so they want to know more about dashboards. Right. I just turned it that mustard color background this morning.
Okay. And that's fine. So what we're looking at here, this definitely is a dashboard. Is this the dashboard that you usually use?
It
Or
had
if
not
I,
occurred to me that it was a dashboard.
okay.
I suppose I was using that as my homepage, and perhaps I converted it and I don't recall. But I was just wondering.
Yeah, Susan, if I could chime in, it looks like since when you click homepage in production and it's already going to a dashboard, it looks like you've adjusted your user preference to go to dashboards instead of homepages.
Right, I
If you,
did that today. Yes,
oh, okay,
Okay.
okay,
yes.
yeah, because that's up in the user preference area, and there is that option, um, and it was never forced on you up until what will be the upgrade upcoming. But
Yep. So whatever that last dashboard is, Susan, that you go to on, say, the afternoon of the 10th when you log out, that's what should show up for you on the 11th when you log in. Um,
Okay.
and what I wanted to show you real quick. So let's say you get yourself in a position on the 11th and you show up and there is something showing up and you're like, oh, this is not what I want, or I'm not used to this. I think this was something that I went to, blah, 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 whenever. If you want to get back and take a look at, well, I've already kind of described it, but when you're here in dashboards, if you go to dashboards that are owned by you, and this won't work for you on on test, Susan, but you could do this on prod. Um, when you click on owned by me, you can see the different dashboards that you own, and navigate around that way. If you are still not seeing a dashboard that you really want, the the other thing that you can do, we have provided this link that's called Legacy Homepage. If you click on that, that's going to drop you back into an actual homepage, the last homepage that you were on. And the other thing that it will do is it will provide this drop down where you can go back and look at any homepage you've ever created on your own. And from here, let's say it was this OTEC incident data that you normally used, but you couldn't find in the case of the new interface. Once you get here, we can tell that we're on a dashboard because basically we're, or not, I'm sorry, not a dashboard, a home page, because we're still seeing this pull down. And what we can do if we want, if we go over here to this cog, we can now create a dashboard version of this homepage. So I will click on that. And what I can do, I can either add this to an existing dashboard or I can create a new one. Either one, it doesn't matter. So I'm just going to create a new dashboard. So I'll click on create. We get a little notification here. Welcome to the dashboard version of whatever that was that you just made. And sure enough, here we are on a dashboard that looks exactly like the old homepage that we were just on. And if I go back into this and I go to owned by me, I will see that there's a new one in here um, now that represents the dashboard I just created. Does that help? Does that make sense?
Doug, I'm sorry. I'm not
Sure,
sure this
anything.
is only for me, but your shared screen is blinking and couldn't follow.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's for me also.
Is it?
Something was happening.
Sorry. Let me. Uh, I'm gonna do something to my network. If I pop off, I apologize, and I'll be right back.
Okay.
Just 1 second. 1 second, please. Jeff, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I can also see
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I think I'm okay. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so let me share this out again. Share. Okay, so is everyone seeing my screen in an unblinking state?
Looks good right now. Yeah.
Okay. So, He Chang, at what point did things start blinking and not making sense? Or do you want me to go through that whole thing again?
So I think you explained like how to make the home, old style homepage look, transfer to the dashboard, right?
Yep.
So I missed that whole thing.
Okay,
I
that's
think
fine.
that's very important part.
Yes. So if you get yourself in a situation where um, you're dropped into an interface and you're like, I have no idea what this is. I need to get myself into, a place that I recognize again. So what you can do, we've created this link called Legacy Homepage. If you go to all, if you select Legacy Homepage, what that does, that then takes you to the last homepage that you would have been on. And you know that you're on a homepage because you can see this drop-down list. This is indicative that you are in a homepage if you still see that. You'll know that you're on a dashboard if what you see instead of that drop-down are these 4 squares right here where it says dashboard overview. And then when you click on that, it shows you basically dashboards grouped by, in this case, these are the most recent dashboards I've been to. If I click on this one, these are all the dashboards that I own. If I click on this one, it's all of the dashboards that are shared with me. And then depending upon what your role is within ServiceNow, you'll be able to see all, or you may not see that. Okay. So does that help He Chang to let you know when you're what indicates whether you're on a home page or a dashboard?
Yeah, that is very, very helpful. So
Okay.
then, my question is, can I transfer that legacy homepage into
Yeah.
a dashboard?
Yes. So what I'm going to show you here real quick, if you remember in the old instance, right, when we were working in home pages, everything above this line, these are all home pages that I have modified and or created for myself. All right. So our assumption is that this is the area in which you're going to find the home pages that you really want to convert. All right. So I'm just going to pick a different one up here. Let me pick this one. So I'm still on a home page. And this is one that I've created for myself. It's the McAfee compliance data for IT assets out in the field. If I want to convert this from a home page to a dashboard, I go to this little cog over here, I click on it, and I click on create a dashboard version. So when I click on that, then I'm given an option. Do I want to create a new dashboard, or do I want to add this to an existing dashboard? In this case, all I'm going to do is create a new dashboard. So I'll just leave that selected and say create. We're given a little dialogue here. It says, welcome to the dashboard version of the McAfee compliance data for IT assets, blah, 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 blah. Now we are on a dashboard, and you can tell that you're on a dashboard. One, we see those 4 squares up there. We don't see that pull down menu anymore of a home page. And when you create a new dashboard, what you'll see over here is basically an area that will allow you to share that dashboard if you have the appropriate roles and permissions to do that. So I'll go ahead and close that. So that's how you go about converting a home page to a dashboard. Does that make sense, Hee Chang?
That totally makes sense and very helpful. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right, good. All right. All right, so I've covered these.
And Doug, what I just thought of one thing that sometimes can be helpful if folks are curious if one of their home pages, if they have converted it to a dashboard or not, you can usually tell because if you go back to a home page and if it does have a corresponding dashboard, the home page will actually have a button right to the right of that drop down menu. And that button will say, I think it's open dashboard version.
This guy right here.
Yeah.
So this
And
is
you
right.
can,
And
yeah, it
if
allows you
you
to pop right
recall,
over
Hee
to it.
Chang, yeah, that was not there before. If I go to a different one that I haven't converted already, yeah, that button's not there. But I do have the ability to go over here and create a dashboard version. So that's a good point, Jeff. So if you've
Right,
converted,
I must have done this with mine and I didn't remember. So let me ask from a different angle,
sure.
what exactly is different between a home page and a dashboard?
um, home pages are items that were used with different technologies in the old releases up to San Diego. Dashboard, the technologies used to draw the dashboard is different, and that's the direction that ServiceNow is headed. And quite frankly, it's not even dashboards. It's really more along the lines of workspaces, and different things like that. So, and that's something that we've not yet, we don't have that fully baked for everyone. But they are there, and that's something that I would imagine within the first 6 months or a year, we'll probably start to put more workspaces, and the other technology that ServiceNow is moving to is landing pages, where we can put different groups of people in different areas within the same platform. So, Debashri or Jeff, did you want to add
Yeah,
anything to that?
I just want to add, like in a dashboard, you can present things in a tabular manner, like you have different tabs, and so you can go into it, so you can organize your information uh, in tabs, which is not possible in a home page. So that's a good feature, useful feature, like a user interface wise. Yeah, not this particular one, but there are, I
Yeah,
think you have, yeah,
I'm looking for one. Just a second. I'll
right.
find it and I'll show you. Because the point that Debashri is making is a good one. It's this one. Yeah.
Ebashri, thank you.
Right.
I discovered that this morning, and it is a very nice feature. So
Yeah.
what I think I'm hearing is that there are maybe a few new UI features, but the underlying rendering is based on different components. And probably going forward, we will see new functionality being rolled out. And
Yeah.
so at first blush, it's kind of actually a nice experience because it is not startingly different. Um, that's probably wise. And then, you know, they add a few features at a time, and the tabs are really nice. Um, yeah, so that was my
Yeah.
take.
Yeah. Yep.
So for just to make a recommendation to folks, I think probably the easiest thing for people to do. So what I've done, I'm just going to different tabs within the same dashboard. And in reality, what I'm looking at are different home pages I had before. And what I did, this was the first home page that I converted. And then all of the rest of these were home pages that I went to, and then I attached to the first dashboard that I made. And it just kept making more and more of these. And like for myself, I use these tabs for very different functions. Um, like in the desktop world, we do a lot of on and off boarding activities, enough so I wanted to, create a dashboard where I can keep track of and look at just that grouping of body of work. Another one that we do a lot of um, are these VPN issues, and we're here on test, and it's not there. Another big one for us is security remediations. So as there are big bodies and chunks of work that get done within your group's work, you may want to do these same kinds of things so that you can kind of focus in on your stuff, because the generic my ITIL homepage, um, good, this happened the way I wanted. So I don't know if you all noticed, but as I scrolled down, everything that I could see initially was already, the data had been loaded and you could see it all. This last report or widget that I had at the bottom of the screen, my group's work, ServiceNow did not load that because I hadn't scrolled down to it yet. And this is one of the things that ServiceNow is doing to try and speed up the rendering of pages. And if you take a look at some of the other videos that we had done for the trainings, one of the things that we recommended was that when you come to a page like this that might be pretty heavy as far as data goes and what's being displayed, stay at the top of that page until what you see is loaded. Don't immediately go to the bottom, because then ServiceNow is going to try and load the data for every widget that's on that page. So just kind of one of those FYI kinds of deals. Any questions around that?
And also, I remember, I mean, if you remember, Doug showed like when you convert a home page to a dashboard, there was two options, like create a new dashboard or add to an existing one. So I believe when Doug has converted all these previous home pages into these tabs, that's what he has done. He has just added it to the OHT desktop dashboard. So that's how you can consolidate if you want in one place.
Yeah, we talked about that
Yeah.
a couple minutes ago. So, all right. Good point, though. Still a very good point. So let's talk a little bit about some of the lists, because this is something that I think everyone who provides services within ServiceNow, does all the time. You look at a list. You can still, like right now, you can see this is sorted by created. That's indicated by that little triangle. Some functionality that you have available to you, you can still on any one of these lists show a visual task board. One of the new items is this launch interactive analysis. I'm not going to go in there just yet. We'll talk about that maybe a little bit later. But you can export the data, in any number of formats. There are occasions when you need to do that. One of the other things that you can do here is, let me go right up there. Let me go over here. This is where you can go to add or remove or change the order of the columns that's shown. A lot of times there might be some data elements that you're not seeing that you want to see. Let's say you wanted to see who created these. You just simply click and select the field that you want as one of the columns. You click the arrow to add it. And then once you have your columns over here, you can move them around by moving them up and down. Once you say OK, the screen will refresh and everything will be put up there. You can still do things like come up here and you can group them by company. In this case, I just selected company. And all of this functionality is still the same. You can go in here and, click on the triangles. That will open up that group of items for Ornet. All right. So what about, oh, the other one, if you want to look at the filters now, what was the criteria used to come up with these records? If you go up here, click on that icon, that is where you can modify the filter that's used to show that. So let's say we only wanted to see items down here from Ohio Link. One of the ways we could do this, we could go right here. I could right click on that and say show matching. The other way is if we just wanted to add another criteria, click on and company is Ohio Link. Run that. So now we're just seeing, the items from Ohio Link. All of the same functionality is still there. You can still, right click anywhere. You can show matching. You can filter whatever it is that you want out. And what you're doing is just modifying or adding new criteria up here in your filter. You can still, once you have a filter that you like, you can save that filter. You can run that again. One of the other things that's nice, associated with the favorites, if you click the star now, that just created a new favorite for me in by favorites with this list. So if I go to favorites, while I'm here, this is another good opportunity. So you might be saying to yourself, Doug, I don't see where that thing went in there at all. There is a bit of a bug right now in this, in that it will only show you the first 30 items. But if I click here to edit And that's also only showing 30. It's a bug and they're working on it. We were able to, I think, what did we do the other day,
I
Debitry and Jeff,
I
we
think
went somewhere?
yeah, you can either
You can
re-
go to legacy
s-
homepage, and then that's how you'd sorry, not legacy homepage. You have to turn off the experience, and
right.
once you turn it back, yeah,
I also was trying to remember if it
We
also
did,
is
yeah.
just a log out, log back in type
not
of
log out. You just
situation.
change the experience, and like turn off the experience and come back in, and you'll be able to see. That's what I remember.
So it's a matter of going to your user preferences
Right,
then.
user preference, display, and turn off next experience, and then when you come back, it will be uploaded.
I'm
But each
very
time,
hesitant to show
yeah,
this.
right.
There
Yeah.
is a way, if you go up into your
Sure.
user
Yeah.
preference and you go to your preferences, if you get yourself into a situation where you're like, I just cannot, this is so new, so different, and I just can't manage, you can click this slider. It will turn off the next experience, and all of a sudden, voila, everything looks very much so like it used to.
Yeah. Here, if you go to the
And
favorites, all the new ones that was added would be showing in the favorites here.
and so now there are many more up here other than just the one that I created. And as you can see, I use favorites quite a bit. So I'm going to, if you want, so if you turn the next experience off and you want to turn it back on, you as an end user can come back here, back into that, the preferences under the cog, and you can turn on the next experience. That will turn it back on for you. Page will re-render. I don't know how many folks made use of that history function in the old interface. They have slightly tweaked this and they've grouped it so it's a little bit easier to tell, okay, when this is all in chronological order, but it's nice to be able to, oh, yeah, it was 2 days ago, it was 3 days ago, whatever it was, to be able to go back in this list and look at that grouping a little bit differently.
I believe the favorites would now populate more than 30, right? That's what we're checking. I think that's what had happened. Yeah, now it's showing more. And the new feature here is you can drag and up and, I mean, for reordering, I believe you can drag up and down.
You can,
Yeah,
but you
if
have
I
to be in
remember.
edit mode still.
Got it. Okay.
So if you go to edit mode,
Mm.
what Devashree was talking about, you can now within here, you can drag these things around and they will move for you. And, just like before, any of the items that you wanted to change, you could change colors, you can change icons, save those edits. So back. And I will let folks know, at times you'll see the interface render in what appears to be a lot slower manner. The way ServiceNow allocates resources to sub-production instances, we are not expecting this same kind of latency to occur on our production instance. But if you do, certainly let us know about it. So I have shown lists. Was there anything else that that folks normally did within lists that you wanted me to verify still works, or do you have any questions on lists before I move to forms? Debishri or Jeff, was there anything you wanted me to add, or something maybe I missed?
No, I think you've pretty much covered everything I could think of to cover here. I think one of the bigger things that's really, it's not that a bunch of new stuff is really there on the list. It's just that things, I think generally speaking, were just kind of reorganized. So
Yeah.
like your
Okay.
cog for your personalization of columns is over there on the right instead of the left. And if you have the ability to create a record on the list, that new button is at the very far right. And it used in the old interface, it was kind of more, it was on the
Like right over
left.
in here. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And there used to be those hamburger in the old interface, and that has changed to these 3 dots if you hover on the column name, any of the column. Yeah, see like those 3 dots. It used to be hamburger symbol. So these are like subtle changes.
See, they didn't totally lose the hamburger. They still got it up here.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
I think
yeah,
that,
that's different though from these column hamburgers. The menu, I believe, is different.
yeah, it absolutely is.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
just, yeah.
Right, right.
Okay, so let's take a look at a form here. The forms should not see anything too cuckoo crazy. The one thing that I do want to point out that's very different in the San Diego release, um, there's a new technology that we are introducing that's called contextual search. So basically, I am a technician and there's somebody that's asking a question to verify hardware install status, right? If I click related search results, I don't know what this is going to pull up, but what's happening here in the background, ServiceNow is taking a look at the text that's up here in the short description, and it is searching service catalog items, and it's searching knowledge base articles. And depending upon what knowledge base articles you have available to you, you will be presented with what ServiceNow believes most closely matches an item that is related to this request. So these first two are knowledge articles, and what you can do if you click on this, what that will do, I haven't left the record. This is just basically pulling up that knowledge base article. Okay. And if I want, if I find, hey, yes, this article is really going to assist Jeff or myself in explaining to Jeff what's going on in his request, I can click this icon right here to attach it to the catalog itself. So if I do that, if I am on a task, it's going to attach this code right here. And if this is something that I want to send to, well, in this case, it's going to go to Doug Line. But if I copy that and then I close this up, and since we're on a task, I know if I put this here, this is going to go out to everybody that's in the requested for. It's going to go to everyone that was in the watch list, basically a customer. So I can say, Doug, here it is, and I found blah, 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 blah. Hope this helped. Doug. So if I save this, now you can see ServiceNow modified that code into this nice little link that will take that end user directly to that knowledge base article. So that's how this functionality works in the context of you working a request item or a service request item. If I wasn't on an incident, it works a little bit differently. Let's go to all the open incidents and we'll pick one here. And let's just look for we open the filter. So I'm just going to look for these that contain VPN. But I want to show something that's like, oh, this makes sense. So I open up this incident that was thrown in that happens to deal with generic or other, it's a VPN issue. And this is not going to, I have to find one that's open. What I'm sorry, I'm expecting to see here my little link to see the contextual search results, but it's not showing up because this thing is already closed. So let me go see if I can find one that's open. And I'm probably not going to find one that is still open.
This is a very nice feature. It also kind of gives me the idea that it may be worthwhile to align the KB articles and the short description for better searching, better matching.
Well, the other thing that we're hoping, because I wanted to show you something else. So,
Well, yeah, and Susan, with the short description, you don't necessarily have to update the incident or task records short description. It's the search field below that that just starts by default with the text that is the short description.
Right, but I'm thinking if the KB article doesn't have quite the same wording, that it might be a good idea to modify the KB article a little bit, maybe even change its title to match that short description in a better way so that it improves the matching results. We'll have to play with it and see.
well,
Sure.
let me, so, because Jeff has pointed out he's made a very good point. Let me show you what he's talking about. So here we are, we're in an open incident, right? So if I open this is our contextual search, right? So what you can do is you can add you can add whatever other items that you want within this search, and it will bring other, so like if you're going down here and you're somebody who works these items, and you know that a lot of times end users will describe something in a way that really isn't related to the root issue that you already know. And I this is vague, but I'm sure that many of you have been in this situation. What you can do is you can modify that since you know what the article is, or you know the area that this is actually related to. And then from here, I can show you, let's say I look at this article and I'm like, oh yeah, this will help this individual. So when I attach this to an incident, when I close this up, here you'll see it puts it in the additional comments for you already. You don't have to do that copy and paste out of the description. That was because we were in a service request. that it didn't do that directly. And Susan, one of the things that we're hoping that all of our service providers start doing is we all know that there are a lot of items that come in that require the same response to them to either assist them that or there's like a common
Yes, canned
language that we
response.
use to describe.
Yeah.
Each group, doesn't matter who you are within OTEC, we can create knowledge bases. We refer to them as internal knowledge bases, like the desktop group and the ServiceNow group. We have internal knowledge bases that we all use to work different things, to describe processes and things like that. And so from that standpoint, when you're on an incident and something comes in, you would have access to not only the public facing knowledge bases that you might have put together for your end users, but also your internal process documentation that you use to address items, so that you've got those tools available to you in the context of the item that you're dealing with at the time. And
Yes, I think Tasha has created a wealth of internal KB articles that I'm just
yes,
discovering and learning from. I know we're right at time, but can I ask one
yeah,
follow-up here, which is there a way within the KB article, aside from doing this manually, to associate the KB article with a particular ticket? So that, here's where I'm going with this. When you look at that KB article, it says something like recent related tickets.
we will be building data like that because up to this point, there was no way to make that connection. Contextual search is the first time where ServiceNow they've created new tables that will make those links. And it's also built within the search criteria, but it's not a direct answer to your question, Susan, but I will show you. I'm going to go into a knowledge document.
I like what I'm hearing, Doug. So what I think I've heard you just say is that Snow, are working towards that kind of functionality because we all have similar support situations where certain kinds of tickets come in, and it's helpful to make that association. So I like what I'm seeing and hearing. Just want to let you know.
So let me, I'm going to flip this around so we see the most recent stuff up top. All right, so this is a knowledge base article. All right. One of the things, and I'm going to check this out. So one of the things that ServiceNow does when you create a knowledge base article, there's this field called, it's a metadata field. And what we are strongly encouraging our authors and people who are generating these knowledge base articles is use that metadata area to identify terms, phrases, whatever that an end user might use to describe this, that this would be applicable to. So I'm not sure here, but field focus on load of tasks. This is So this is a way to allow ServiceNow to more easily make a connection between what they see coming in an incident or a service request and the metadata field is also used when you're searching knowledge base articles directly. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Susan?
this is a common mechanism. I wasn't
Yeah.
aware of this field. I haven't created or edited a KB article in this Snow instance yet. But that makes perfect sense. And uh, is the has this interface changed in the KB article form, by the way? Are there
No.
changes there? No, okay.
So here's, I'm going to, okay. So here's, I have access to this, Susan, because I'm an admin. All right. So if I go to this Ohio Link internal KB area, you would have this same access when you come here. If you click on create an article, you are writing a KB article now.
Okay, so I don't need special permissions. I haven't tried this, but yes, that's great. Because I've been doing this in Word documents. I've been creating sort of a document that describes ticket types and resolutions. Because
And
as a new person, this is,
yeah,
you know, hard to take in and remember all at once. That's great. The metadata field is very useful. It's very much familiar to people in the library world too.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's great. Thank you for showing us that.
yeah. Because this was something that we introduced. What was that, Jeff? Like 6-ish months, 8 months ago?
Yeah, yeah, somewhere in the past fiscal year for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Because we very much so want, because there's a search engine behind this. This is, ServiceNow is where we do our work, or provide services, not necessarily where we do our work, but and as such, what we want to do is take advantage of the tool itself. So
Right, it's indexing on these
yes,
metadata fields. Sure, that's how
yeah.
it can do faster searching. Great,
And
love it.
as a matter of fact, I believe.
It's actually, I think, Doug, in the featured content there. I think I know what you're looking for. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So
Yeah, I'm guessing it was buried in those results list, but yeah, that second from the
it's
bottom
the
there.
third
Yeah,
one here, creating a knowledge
yeah,
base article.
yeah.
So oddly enough, Susan, we have a KB article on how to go about doing this.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So, are there any other questions that folks have? I know we're a little over. We're at about 8 minutes over, but quite honestly, I was about 8 minutes late getting here. So, anyone else have any other questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, I thought of I thought of one thing in regarding to contextual search, just so folks were aware, especially in regards to the helpful feature where you can attach a coded link to the article. So for service providers now, that's just keep in mind that the link you're providing is a link back to a knowledge article in the ServiceNow platform. So I know I think for a lot of service providers that are providing that link to customers within OTEC, that will work and be very helpful right now. For OSC, for Ohio Link, if you're providing knowledge base articles, links to knowledge base articles to your external customers, just keep in mind right now there's no knowledge base that is publicly facing. They wouldn't be able to log into the platform, in other words.
Right,
So
thank you. I was thinking of that too, but useful internally. I suppose that could be within work notes too.
It could be within work notes. I mean, the other thing that you could do, well, first off, there's nothing stopping us from making any one of our knowledge bases publicly available. We just need to have the entity that wants that knowledge base set of articles made publicly available to let us know. Because after that, then yeah, anyone that does click on that, they would be able to get to it. The other way, when you saw me previewing the item before I attached it, while you have it open in that preview, you could certainly copy those items and then, put it into either an additional comment or a work note, whichever, was appropriate for who you were trying to communicate with.
Yes, understood. That's great.
I guess the only other thing that I didn't point out is the other way in which contextual search works. And let's say there is somebody who has access to the system and they come here and they either create a new incident or they create a service request. And if I could spell assistance, contextual search also works here. Zio, not vision. And you can see as I am modifying, even by one character, what's happening underneath here. These are displaying service catalog items that have been specifically developed to, either install software or something like that, and or other knowledge base articles, like in this case, here's how to install Microsoft Visio, so that before an end user even has to submit that request or incident, they might be able to find the information that they need to address the issue on their own, and they don't even have to open something up. So that is another way in which contextual search should be a big benefit for us. One of the other things, I'm sorry this is going long, it's going to help us immensely if, as you start getting and using this contextual search, this little icon right here, if that particular article helped, if you just simply say, hey, this helped, that will help others who come along after you. That will also help authors. And the other thing that I would note is that when you are in a knowledge base article and you're reading it, right? Let's say you were looking at this installing Microsoft Visio. You're like, hey, this was great. This was exactly what I needed at the time when I needed it. If you can do us a favor and start rating these articles, I mean, all it takes is a click. More stars, the better. Less stars, the worse. And at the bottom of the page, we've also got this link down here. Was this useful? You can click yes. if, let's say, you find yourself in a knowledge base article and you're like, this didn't apply at all. This is old. It needs to be removed or it needs to be updated. If you just write that in a comment, this needs to be removed or updated. This will help the authors on the system to be able to know what to either get rid of or what needs to be updated. So, any other questions? Debashri, Jeff, you have any, or is it just the three of us left? Everyone else had to get back to work.
Right, right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't think of anything else. I think it was well covered
right.
as far
Yeah.
as a lot of the new features were people are going to see.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's really all we have. Thank you all for taking your time, being introduced to the new interface, and we'll see you all online, and we'll definitely see you on the 11th of July. So have a great rest of the day.